kind of kicks up some dust.
Reminds me of my homeboy job.
Well, I was in Dallas. I was here.
See, but that's the only thing that is complex that I would say when it comes to that, you know? When you have, like, again, like the homeless people, you know, who are, like you were saying, you know, like everything happens for a reason, you know. People, like the rich people saying, you know, oh, put God first and everything like that. But how can you go, how can you drive by an individual, you know, say for example, hey, you went and just got this Chick-fil-A, right? You got the homeless guy on the corner right over there in Kimsville or wherever, you know, Battlefield or in Town Center, right? And you driving by him, you got food in your car, and he's sitting there holding up a sign that says, hey, I'm hungry or whatever, you know, hey, I'm homeless or whatever. And you sit over there and you look at him and you go, hey, what? All you got to do is keep God first. That's all you got to do.
Keep on.
That's all you got to do is keep God first. And that's one of those that's like, what? The middle one's not all the way up either.
It looked a little. I think we're good now.
Yeah. But some people like genuinely like mean that, you know, like, hey, all you got to do is keep God first. And it's like, you know, hey, I've kept God first, you know. But there's what is his name? Job, like the book of Job, you know, to where he sat there and he lost his wife, he lost his kids, you know, and throughout all of that, you know, they were still like, hey, he still continuously kept having God first. And it's, you know, oh, he lost everything he had, you know, material wise, you know, he lost his land, all his crops and all that stuff. And he wasn't like rewarded here in this life.
See, that's where I think people get kind of mixed up is like, you know, in this life at least, right? It's about money and resources, like you're saying.
Absolutely.
And specifically in America, it's about money, right? Your bank account, materialistic wealth, flexing on Instagram. You know what I mean? Looking fly and shit like that. You know, people put a lot of stock into that. Whereas there's other parts of the world, whether, you know, Thailand or other cultures or wherever, where it might not be that. It's family. It's you know, sharing resources. It's more about self. You know what I mean? And not so shallow, because Americans are really shallow. You know what I mean? We're a consumerist population where it's all about just me, buy, right? We're a very like individualist society. You know what I mean? Very selfish, very greedy, based on greed. You know what I mean? So, you know, to your point that in the next life, you know, just, you know, every religion, right? We're here and we'll be judged, and then so on, you know, on to the next experience or whatever.
We could be rewarded in the next life.
Yeah, or whatever. But, you know, nobody knows, you know what I mean, what happens when you die. You know what I mean? Nobody knows, you know, it could be an afterlife. It could be, you know, who knows? It could be nothing. It could be called, what's it called when it's purgatory? You know, nobody knows. That's the scary part. And we harped on this on one of the other episodes when we were talking about whether we would get downloaded into a computer or not.
There's did you see that show? Did you watch that show where they did that upload?
Oh, what is that, on Netflix or something?
It might have been. I think it was on like Prime or something like that.
Nah, I think I might have saw something about it.
This guy, he died, and they uploaded his soul to a program, and his like girlfriend was like rich, and she was trying to like, she like funded his account and all that stuff, and he ended up falling in love with his work with the person who was supposed to help him and all that stuff, and that person was alive. They just talked through it was a whole thing. So
yeah, I mean, Damn, now I feel like we should have fucking that conversation we had before we turned the cameras on was
deep.
pretty deep. I wish we would have had that shit on.
I mean, but it's still, essentially, I understand, that whole aspect. It is difficult, as far as letting, because I feel like I honestly feel like that's where I personally struggle at. To where, like you were saying earlier, to where you don't know if it's necessarily God's plan, if it's a universe, We sit here, we do this podcast stuff at least once, maybe twice a week, and that's just recording. That's not including, editing, thumbnails, that's not including, responding to people on TikTok who reach out to us, Instagram, DMs, having conversations, in person, about this, people reaching out. So it's like we're doing all of this, but who's to say, that this is what we should be doing versus what we should not be doing?
Yeah.
That's where I'm kind of like having that internal struggle within myself. Like, like you were saying as well. I mean, before we started recording, but still,
you talking about between this taking time to do this versus cybersecurity and shit like that?
Yeah, like there's times where, like when I was in high school, I did like Alex can tell you, I did the like midday Braves report, with Dr. Shabazz, shout out Dr. Shabazz, at Indian River, and I remember sitting in like the studio room and having the teleprompter in front of me, having the green screen behind me, the camera, the lights, reading off the teleprompter. And of course it was pre-recorded, but when I recorded and I got my script and got my script good,
right? That
feeling, or even hosting the talent show, when I was introducing people, and that again, that wasn't I had previous knowledge or anything like that. Literally right after class, Dr. Bass told me, "Hey, I'm doing this talent show next block." And I was like, "Yo," he said, "Yeah, I'm about to host it." And I was like, "Yeah, I can host it for you." And he was like, "All right, cool, bet." So being a voice, public speaking, do I enjoy that part of it? Yeah, absolutely. I love speaking, I love talking, I may not be always the most articulate, or the most knowledgeable, but I'm open enough and willing enough to admit that.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, I spent 4 years of my life, going to college and getting a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity.
Right.
Studying concepts, studying cyber law,
right.
Studying, the ins and outs, and then taking time afterwards,
right.
of, learning more and more about it, about attacks, different kinds of attacks, different kinds of vulnerabilities, other things that we should be like looking into, the do's and don'ts, as far as cyber.
Right.
So that's where it's just like.
But that's the beauty of life, though, because, you have a bunch of people that.
You can say it's beautiful, but I sometimes deem it as very, very stressful.
No, I'm saying, what do you mean? What is?
Life. Like,
but
you can say it's beautiful, but I get very, very stressed out. There's plenty of times where, I feel so overwhelmed with like literally the amount of options of things that I have.
Yeah.
To where it's like, I get so like, I should be doing this. I should be doing this. I started 3 different certs that I was studying. And while I'm going through the process, I end up, someone's wanting me to do this job.
Right.
I need this cert.
Right.
And then I start doing that cert. Someone else wants me for another cert,
right.
Then I start doing this, you start feeling so overwhelmed. I end up just not doing anything. And then I'm so stressed out. There's days, weeks, and months that pass by.
Yeah.
And then I'm not necessarily in a worse place, but, I'm not in a better place where I should be.
See, that's where society kind of, and I mean, I think American society, I'm pretty sure around the world too, but just modern society, everybody's so pressed about, oh, you got to do, I guess America, right? Because right out of the gate, it's like, yo, what are you doing? You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
ask you, yo, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? What do you want to do? What do you want to? What career do you want to do? Right at 18 years old, I know me like
not even that, not even just that young. You know, I seen a kindergarten graduation, and they sat there and asking the kids, "Hey,
like,
what do you want to be?
I
Garbage
don't
truck
know.
driver." Someone said, "I want to be a single mom."
Yeah.
You know, the little girl.
Yeah.
I want to be a single
Yeah.
mom.
But see, that's the thing, right? Like I remember freshman year, you had to fill that little thing out. What do you want to be? I did a lawyer. I said lawyer because I always like y'all know I like arguing my point and shit.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
that. I love arguing. I always wanted to be a lawyer. My mom would always say, "You know what you should be? You should be a fucking lawyer because all you do is all you want to do is argue with everybody all the time." And I've heard that plenty of times from other people. But
I think I just put I don't know,
but
or not applicable.
yeah, and it's crazy. I remember
It's
I remember
not applicable.
I remember senior year, you know, having the college, what's this shit called? Convention in the library
I
or whatever, where
remember.
all the colleges came with the brochures and all that. And I was sitting there, everybody was getting their little packages and everything like that. And I was just sitting off in the corner like, yo, I don't know what I want to do. I don't really want to do shit. Like, because I came up from from seeing my parents bust their ass, and I mean, they was all right, but they wasn't balling or nothing like that, you know? And I remember thinking like, damn, bro, I don't want to do none of that shit. Like I had no idea what I wanted to do, right?
Yes.
So then I remember I just did a little bit of research. I ended up going to school for finance, right? Because I was like, I remember to this day I Googled, what do rich people do? And they're like, invest in stocks, whatever. And I was like, okay, financial analyst. I'm gonna just go to school for finance. But anyways, like I'm saying, like that, I think that's an issue with, and I think in the next 20, 30 years, as automation comes in, you're going to see a lot of these jobs kind of get taken over, whether it be finance or cybersecurity, maybe not cybersecurity, but finance or, you know, a wide range of fields. I mean, shit, nurses, nurse practitioners, shit like that. There's going to have AI to where, you know, it takes your blood sample, whatever. Or there's going to be robots that just takes your pulse or your heart, what's it called? Blood pressure, right? All that. It's just going to be automated, you know? So it's going to get to the point.
I can see a world where, you know, like, hey, you know, put your arm in here.
Yeah.
You know, scan your little wristband that they give you. Put your arm in here. And then it inputs that data into your profile, your user profile.
Yeah.
And then again, you know, same thing, you know, put your finger on here. They do a little drop or whatever, and then it gets, you know, whatever you need, you know. Put your head on here, get your temperature, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, we were at the hospital the other night, and I looked over to you and I said, yo, man, we saw the emergency room, right? It was packed, right? And you had like a handful of, you know, doctors and shit like that. And I looked over and I said, yo, man, isn't it so crazy that we have so many people that like maybe need assistance or whatever, but you know, there's this huge waiting room full of people. You know what I mean? That it's like, yo, man, like, imagine if there was like 30 AI booths, right? And you go in and you say, they ask you, what's the issue? And you tell them, and just like you're talking to Chat GPT, yo, I got shot in the leg. It was like, whatever it is, like, okay, well, and then I guess maybe this would probably be like 100 years from now or something, but like there's a robot that actually comes in, like scans your leg, it sees the bullet, it numbs you out and shit, and then it just like goes to work. But if it was just something like, yo, like, I fucking can't, I'm shortness of breath, right? And then it just like scans you or does whatever, and then it gives you like some sort of, I don't know, you know what I mean? But like, just so there's not like a physical person that has to be there.
Hold on.
You know what I mean, though?
Is it bad that like I'm really like thinking about like what I just said?
What do you mean?
Like again, what you're saying, but the whole like, imagine you have a medical band.
Yeah.
You go, shit. When you go to patient first, you input your information. You know, like your name. If you've been there before, they pull your records and all that stuff. Prints out a band. You put the band on.
Right.
And then you go, you scan the band. You go to the little blood pressure machine. Put your arm in. You know, cool. And then same thing. It does for your head.
Yeah.
You know, again, and you have like stations to where you can just go in and get that done.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's something that like,
well, they kind of do already have that at CVS and shit. The little put your arm in there.
That's what I'm saying. But having that,
get a whole physical.
But I'm saying they have that everything gets read.
Yeah.
That information in turn gets inputted into like your profile, and then you sit into a waiting room, and then they have like a little, hey, you may now enter room 104. You go in 104, then the doctor comes in and saying, hey, you know, so I seen that you did this, you know, why are you here? You know, they get the AI or whatever the fuck to knock out a lot of the easier things.
Right.
You know, to where it doesn't occupy as much time, you know, for, you know, like the nurses and doctors, you know, to do like those minute tasks.
Right.
Know?
Yeah. I mean, but my end goal would be to like eliminate human doctors. I mean, not my goal, right? But I'm saying is like, I think it gets to a point where, you know, because even like I've been to doctors where like, it's like they don't even give a shit about you. It just seems like you're just another patient. You know what I mean? Like
they have to though.
What do you mean they have to?
They probably have to do that.
They have to what?
Like
treat you like a different patient, another patient.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's why we was talking about like being like trying to, you know, exceed in life. That's another reason why I want to try to get up. I want a doctor. I call you at 1 a.m. You answer the phone. You know what I mean?
Like a concierge doctor.
Yeah, like fuck that. Like what? Like I gotta sit in the ER and wait for a motherfucker to get done with 13 other people, and that just so I have the privilege, right, for them to come see me. Fuck that. I want somebody on speed dial. Like even if it's like 30,000 a year, 40,000 a year. Yeah, like
Hank Med.
Yeah. You said who?
Hank Med.
Who's that? I know House, but who's Hank
Med? It was a show.
Oh, I want House. I want to call. Yo, where's Dr. House at? No. And just get him on the phone.
So Hank is pretty much like I said, concierge doctor.
Yeah.
You call him.
It's a show.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty good show.
Okay.
He ends up going to what's that fancy area in like New York?
Soho.
No, like it's like
Greenwich
white
Village?
people, big houses, all that stuff.
In Manhattan?
No, it's not like in like the Seven Boroughs area. It's like it's a drive away.
The Hamptons?
The Hamptons.
Okay.
So he goes to the Hamptons and he becomes a concierge doctor in the Hamptons and he's treating like all like the rich people out there or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much his story going through all that stuff to build his concierge business. So yeah, you know, that what you're saying is cool, but when we looking at our medical professionals now that are in like Centera and stuff like that, you know, one of my friends, you know, that I was pretty close with, you know, before she moved to Japan, but she is Alex knows her too, Christina. You know, she was a nurse, you know, and she's seen. I remember like having like conversations with her, you know, to where she'll like work overnight, and you know, next morning or whatever, we're like sometimes we'll have a conversation or whatever, and she'll be like, yeah, you know, like we'll go out to brunch or we're like, hey, you know. Yeah, I just got done, you know, seeing a guy get his leg cut off or shot, or you know, three of my patients code blued last night. You know,
I don't know how they do that shit. I don't know how they live with that shit.
And guess what?
What?
She's sitting there eating her fucking steak and eggs.
That's
like she didn't just say what she just said.
Yo,
But
there's this new show
it
called.
happens so much. Like it's that's what I'm saying. They end up trying to, you know, at first it really fucked her up, but you know, you try to disconnect. Of course, it fucked her up.
Yeah.
It still fucked her up, you know, at night or whatever. But she's trying her best to disassociate to her, because at the end of the day, if you do build that bond with one patient, you know, and you can't carry that on to the next patient, you have to give your best. Even Jordan, when she was doing the CNA stuff, you know, like she built bonds, you know, with. Well, she's a manager of CNAs, but she's still building bonds with the patients.
Right.
She leaves. She comes into work the next day. They're dead.
Yeah, that's wild, bro.
So
I can't even do. You know. I mentioned this when we was there the other day. I hate hospitals.
Yes.
I hate medical shows. Now, House I love the acting so much that I gutted through like all the medical shit. You know what I mean? I hate going to the doctor. I hate all that shit because I feel like they're just gonna tell me I'm dying. I started watching.
Scared.
I started watching the show, the Pit that just came out.
I seen
the first episode. I was like, I'm off this. It was just wild
because it's real. It's real medical.
Yeah,
like, actual like nurses and doctors who watch that show say like this is like the most like accurate like
depiction.
Yeah, of what it is.
Yeah, it's I just I don't know.
Okay, but speaking of TV shows,
okay,
I'm about to get my shit off.
All right.
There's no questions when I get my shit
Well,
off.
Love Island?
Yes.
All right,
Until
I'm gonna let
I'm
you
done.
rock. I'm gonna let you rock. I
Until
don't
I'm
know
done.
nothing about this. I haven't watched it.
Okay.
So do your thing.
This, you're going to want to clip this, buddy. First things first. Fuck you, Ace. Ace, you a bitch. You mad because Huda wouldn't give you no pussy. That's number one. 2, Nick, you're a bitch. Nick is a bitch for real. You're mad. You're just a fucking follower of Ace because whatever the fuck Ace wants to do, you're down to do. 3, Taylor, you are sitting there with Ace and them bitching about Jeremiah being on Huda's dick or whatever. You've been on Alandria's dick the entire fucking show. What the fuck is your problem, dude? I really fucking hate Ace. I hate Ace with a burning fucking passion. Jeremiah, you should not have left. Jeremiah's my fucking dog, you know, and they were on Jeremiah's dick because he was so locked in on Huda. Him and Huda broke that shit off. They went their separate ways. Andrina came in. When Andrina came in, he started fucking with Andrina. Andrina was fucking with him. Ace is mad because 2 of the quote-unquote baddest bitches who walked in there didn't want to give him the time of day. So, Ace, you're a hater. Jeremiah, you're the real one. I hope you come back. Ace, if I get a fucking chance, I'm voting you off. I'm making 30 new accounts just so I can vote your ass off. I fucking hate you, Ace. Nick, stop being a bitch. Get Ace's dick out your mouth. And Taylor, you were really one of my favorites, but I can't let you slide after what you just did to my boy Jeremiah. So that's that. And I don't give a fuck about Hannah. Hannah even cool. Hannah be crying, whatever. But yeah, that's whatever.
All right.
So
All that I have no idea what have you been watching Love Island, Alex? No.
Yo, Love Island has just been like addictive, right? So I'm gonna be honest with you. I was very, very like, I'm not watching this shit. Fuck no. I gave it a chance. You know, first episode is 1 hour and 43 minutes long.
And it's a new episode every day?
A new episode every
See,
day.
I don't got time.
A new
for
episode
that. I don't
dropped
got
30
time
minutes
for
ago.
that. I don't got time.
No, each episode's probably like an hour
I
generally.
don't got
Besides
time
the
for
last
that.
episode.
Every
last
day, that's
episode
wild.
just dropped.
You got to be committed to that.
But here's the thing though. Like Saturdays, I think is when like the After Suns drop. I don't really watch those. Those are whatever. But every other episode is every day. And it's like recording them throughout the whole day or whatever. And each episode's typically an hour. So it's not too bad.
They don't got shit on Jersey Shore. Jersey Shore was the shit back in the day. That was my shit.
How you gonna say it doesn't have shit on and you haven't watched it?
What, Jersey Shore? Yeah.
Bro, and it is
Snooki and them, JWoww. Ooh. Who? Oh, Ronnie? Yeah.
Yeah, no, from the bottom of my heart, bro.
Yo, they need to recreate that shit. I remember they did Floribama Shore. That shit was ass. That was ass. That was ass. What other?
One of the guys died.
Oh, in real life?
Yeah, the black dude died.
Yeah. That's legendary shit. Paulie D, Vinny, The Situation. Damn.
He went to jail.
He did. Tax evasion. Yeah.
Bro, I'm trying to tell you.
The grenade whistle.
Bro, like,
You know what's so crazy? I actually bought one because they sold one at Spencer's. They sold them, and I actually bought one. And I would blow it out the window whenever an ugly girl walked by. Anyway, grenades.
hold on.
Yo, she's a grenade, bro. GTL. What's up?
This is the newest
DTF.
girl.
She's so DTF.
This is the new girl. One of the newer bombshells.
Did he just say bombshells?
That's what they're called.
Why he say
That's what they're called on the show.
bombshells?
Yeah, they're called like so.
She's so busty, ain't she?
No, no. So there was an original five girls or 6 guys, 6 girls or whatever, and then they leave, and then the new people come in. When the new people come in, they're called bombshells.
Okay.
Like the guy bombshells. Oh, this is the new girl bombshell.
Okay.
You know, whatever. No, they call the guys bombshells too. So yeah, no, like it's been a really, really good show. I really, really enjoy it. not even gonna lie to you. I'm kind of off of it. You out? You go to bed?
All right, man.
All right, bro. Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. First of all, it's so like complex of like everything that's like happening, you know. So if you end up watching it, it's, like I said, it's pretty good. It is like a lot of time. But yeah, bro, it's freaking pretty much at the end of the show. There's a couple that America votes on it, and that winning couple gets $100,000, right?
Right.
So the goal is to be like, I guess, the best couple. Ace, there was this girl named
The best
Huda.
couple in terms of what? What's the grading
that
scale?
America votes.
Oh, okay.
America votes
Okay.
only the best couple,
Right.
or whatever, right?
Right.
So Ace is one of those. Ace is one of the contestants. His name's Ace Green. He has over 1 million followers on Instagram. You know,
Before or after the show?
I think before he was on Jennifer Hudson. You know, like he does dance. He dances and he like teaches people how to dance and all that shit. Jeremiah is one of them.
Jennifer, is that the one where there's the aisle and people come through dancing when they enter the show?
I don't know.
The Jennifer Hudson show?
I didn't watch the Jennifer Hudson show. I just seen that he was on that show.
Okay.
So yeah, bro, there's a variety of people who join, like, and then they end up you end up pulling people for chats or whatever, and then you try to like create like a better bond with them.
Right.
Once you create like that, then once you can get coupled up, and then like, hey, like that's my connection, you know, and then you say if you're all open or closed off, and all that shit.
Right.
It's honestly been like real good. There's so much like shit going on. Like a lot of people love Huda. Huda's kind of crazy. She is her and freaking Jeremiah were together for a while. So that's Huda.
Damn.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. But she is like, she would spaz on him. She would spaz on Jeremiah, calling him like, because they were having arguments going back and forth. She ended up calling Jeremiah a bitch. You know, like she was saying, you know, like he lied to her and all this stuff. And Jeremiah is like very like non-confrontational or whatever.
Right.
So he's very sitting there. He's just like, you know, I didn't lie to you. Or like Ace and them end up like yelling at him or whatever, trying to sit there and tell him, you know, like you're not playing the game right. This is bullshit. And he sits there, no, I'm straight. You know,
Oh, I got one right here. I appreciate it though.
he was sitting there saying, you're not playing the game right. You know, like you're walking in here, you got hickeys on your neck, and like no other girls can even try to pull you for a chat or anything like that because you like been marked or whatever.
Right.
Like this is just like ridiculous. And Ace goes, you know, y'all sitting here, y'all are complaining about me having the connection that I have with her. The point of the game is to make a connection. Don't be mad at me because I made my connection faster than all of y'all. And what else was it? But then he left that connection alone. He got with another girl, which is the Andrina was the first girl I showed you. And he was like, yo, like, and then I'm building something else with her. And
Should we
y'all are still complaining.
First of all, should we do spoiler alert on any of this?
I'm going to be honest with you.
And second of all,
probably
can we
not.
get some testosterone back on this fucking pod?
Whoa.
Can we get some testosterone?
You know how many men?
God damn.
You know how many men have been watching this instead of the NBA Finals?
Hey, who?
Plenty of men.
Actually, all of y'all walked out the other night to go watch that shit except me. What do you mean? Darian was like, I gotta watch Love Island tonight.
Darian was at my house watching Love Island with me during game 6.
I'm talking about game 7 when we were all over there and you were ready to turn the game off for Love Island.
I wanted to.
Darian was ready to leave for Love Island.
He did.
And Johnny was ready to leave to go watch Love Island.
That's what I'm saying. Plenty of men
I'm sitting there looking around the room like, what the fuck is going on? What's up?
Exactly.
Where y'all balls at, man?
No.
Where's everybody's balls at?
So
the game is on. What are you talking about?
If so many men, and these are your close friends that are sitting here telling you,
nah,
bro. We might be on to something. If everyone around is telling you something, there might be a possibility
maybe
this shit might be good.
Maybe. You know what the missing link is? Y'all got girlfriends.
What does that mean?
Meaning y'all, it's like a couple thing.
No.
So you're saying if you didn't have a girlfriend, you'd watch it by yourself?
I've been watching it by myself. Marcel hardly watches it.
Well, I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Literally, she comes.
I feel
over.
like if I had a girlfriend,
I had it on
I
the
would
TV.
watch it.
Oh, absolutely. What for sure. But that would get you to watch it in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then
You'd be hooked.
once you watched it,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you're a golden dog. Because again, at first I was very, very like, I'm not gonna watch this shit. But then I've been seeing it on Instagram, seeing it on TikTok, seeing people talk about it, and I'm seeing like the dudes reacting. I'm seeing dudes sitting there talking about, the white chicks thing when I was about to say Terrell Owens. What's the
Terry
Crews?
Yeah.
Yes, when Terry Crews was sitting there and he was on a date and he sat there and he was like, and for the lady, perhaps a salad, perhaps not. So that's where there's like, and it'll read, for the man, perhaps the NBA Finals, and it's a man jumping in the bed, said perhaps not, and he's jumping in bed and he turned on Love Island and all that shit. So, yeah, bro,
Maybe I'll check it out one of these days.
So okay, you gotta make it past the first episode. The first episode is gonna be the longest because that's an hour and 43 minutes.
Yeah.
Once you get to like episode 2, 3, or whatever, and like I don't know, like Jeremiah was my favorite. Even in, I think it's because like I could relate to Jeremiah because he just like he's my age, but he reminds me of a younger me. Right. Just the way he acts, know. And the reason why is because like I used to be like very, very like I don't want to say scared, but like
pussy.
Essentially, when it essentially for real, like when it came to dealing with women,
right?
I was always, I was scared to let my dick hang, bro. Like I used to sit there and used to be like real, like yo, like I'm scared if I say something, if I make them mad, they're gonna leave me or whatever.
Right.
And and that just came and was speaking to my own insecurities that I had within myself.
Okay.
And it's like I'm sitting there and I'm watching him, and I'm like, bro, she is. Everything that Huda girl is displaying is pretty much screaming, I need this man to fucking to be a man, bro. Put your foot down, Yeah. And she's like running over him and he's just sitting there just I didn't lie to you. And it's just like, bro, like come on, like stand up for yourself,
Yeah.
So that's the only thing, So for you, do you feel as if like I'm not gonna lie, if she would have called me a bitch on TV, I would have been good off her already. That'd have been one of them ones, hey, come on, let me put you for this chat real quick. I'm not gonna lie to you. The way you sit here talking to me, disrespectful. And there's very, very few things that I'm like, hey, that's it. Don't fuck with me. Don't talk to me no more. That's one of them. You're not going to disrespect me. You're not going to embarrass me.
Right.
You just did both of those. Yo, we're done. You don't got to say shit to me. There's no more conversation. And then they try to keep talking. Nah, that's it.
Right.
It's just deaded.
Right.
What are your non-negotiables when it comes to like, whether it's not even necessarily like on TV and like into like the public view
in general,
in like not even necessarily
like a relationship.
Yeah,
or if you're
let's
getting
go
to
for a
know somebody.
relationship.
If you're getting to know somebody,
let's go with relationship.
I think you just got like to your point, just basic respect. You know what I mean? Like, or if you're argumentative, if you want to argue everything, shut up. You know what I mean? Like nobody's got time for that. Like if we have a disagreement, let's talk about it, right? Let's come to a resolution. Let's understand each other's points, and let's move on. And I better not hear about this shit a week from now. You know what I mean? Because that's another pet peeve of mine. You know what I mean? Why do you keep holding on to shit? Why are you bringing shit back up? You know what I mean? So,
you need to learn how to argue with each other.
Yeah, but
that's very important.
But not even that, right? Because some women I've experienced, they just love to not talk, but like argue. It's just like, yo, shut up. Like, why are you still continuing to try to? But then other girls are cool. Like, it's like, you communicate. You guys come to a understanding, and y'all move on.
It's very easy, and I feel like an important thing also when it comes to dealing with your significant other is while we're arguing, do you continuously maintain respect throughout the argument? And that's one thing I could say.
Wait, like, in terms of raising voices and calling each other,
calling outside your name.
I think that's what I think you can raise voices, right? I think that I would prefer to not raise voices.
Absolutely.
I'd rather you sit down in a civilized manner and communicate effectively, right?
Yeah.
And I know certain instances maybe voices will get raised, right? In my past, I'm typically the one that's not raising my voice. It's usually the women. Like, maybe not, but
in my past,
you've been the one.
No, first of all, it was mutual.
Oh, okay.
Me now, no.
Yeah,
it'll take me a bit.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I can still very, very much get there.
Right,
but it takes me a little bit more
to get to that level.
To get there,
that comes with maturity. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, once you start, calling each other out of out of each other's names and stuff like that. That's kind of wild. You know what I mean? So to your point, the girl called him a bitch or whatever.
Yeah,
that's once you start saying that, it's like,
pussy,
all right, bro. Like, what are we talking about? Because now you just don't have respect for me. You know what I mean? You doing it because even like
the thing is, it was a lot of small things, that continuously kept getting built up, right? So it was like little jabs here, little jabs there, like so. Pretty much all the guys, on the show, like they don't have to, but a lot of the guys took the initiative to make all the women there breakfast in the morning, right?
Right.
So he sat there and he brought her breakfast one morning. This nigga brought her a pancake. The pancake was undercooked, right? So she goes downstairs and then she asks one of the other guys to like make her a pancake or whatever,
right?
And sees the other guy, and he sees the other guy making the pancake for her, and she gets upset that he lets another man make her a pancake, and he didn't try to like step in or do anything for her or anything like that.
First of all, I'm not letting another guy make my girl a pancake.
But again, he didn't even know. He didn't know anything was wrong with the pancake, so he didn't even know that he was making the pancake for her. He didn't even know she asked him to make a pancake. He just seen a nigga making a pancake. And again, in his mind, we've all been making the women breakfast.
Right.
So he don't even know the pancakes for her.
So how come he's not making pancakes?
He made her a pancake.
Right.
And he brought it to her.
Right.
And then when he brought it to her upstairs and he walked back down, she's upstairs in the makeup room. And when she comes to the pancake or whatever, it was still undercooked.
Okay.
So again, in his mind, he's thinking everything's cool. He doesn't even know that she comes down and asks another man to make a pancake.
Because the one he made was fucked up.
Yeah. And again, he's been making her breakfast. This is probably like, made her breakfast probably like 10 days in a row.
As I get older. No problem. As I get older, and I hear a bunch of different accounts from men and women.
About what?
Just shit like this. Just interactions in relationships or whatever. It's always going to be something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always going to be something that's petty or small or that starts an argument or whatever. So that's why I don't, even with my ex-girlfriend, you know what I mean? I just, most of the shit don't even be that big to really like argue about. It really just be bullshit. So once you get older, you start realizing like, I don't even want to be the guy to argue over every little point. You know what I mean? That's maturity. You know what I mean? And women, I mean, I think that should. How old are these people?
Around
our age or younger?
It's a spectrum. So it's about.
So 20, these two 21
though. Jeremiah's 25. I think Hud is 24.
Okay. So I'm 27. You're 25 and a half. About to be 26.
I'm not 25 and a half.
You about to be 26 next week.
Yeah. If I'm not 25 and a half, I'm like 25 and like 50 seconds.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, those are kids basically. They're younger than us.
Yeah, and so she has a kid too, right? Bro, she had a kid. So like, I don't know if you've seen like the meme. It's just the whole like, I'm a mommy. Like it was weird how she did it.
Is that because of her?
Yeah.
That meme? Okay.
So pretty much though. So she didn't want to tell anyone that she had a kid.
Right.
She springs this on him like the 4th day in.
How old is she? I mean, how old is the kid, rather?
The kid's 4. I think she had the kid when she was 20.
Okay.
Or whatever. And again, she doesn't tell him.
I think I saw this part online.
Maybe.
Was that a big story where about the kid and then he didn't know that she had a kid?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I might have saw this.
And she kind of like sprung it on him, and like his reaction wasn't like what she wanted, and he was very, very like oh shit, like it was a lot to like take in.
Yeah.
You know. So it's kind of like him trying to figure that out, and how to deal with it. And she was like, let me talk to you. And he's just like, fuck, like trying to figure it out. Like, you know, hey, like, is this a problem? You know, he's never talked to anyone with a kid before. He doesn't know what it's going to be like dealing with a kid.
Right.
All this shit. That's everything in his mind is going through. And again, his reaction's not what she wants. So she gets upset.
Yeah.
I don't know. You gotta tune in, bro. It's pretty good.
We'll see.
Jeremiah's gone. Oh, that's a thing to you. But you know, again, Ace, you're a bitch. You're a ringleader, and I don't know why. Nick, you're a fucking follower. I hate you. Stop being Ace's little bitch. Get his dick out your mouth. Taylor, you were really, really one of my favorites, man, and you're really fucking disappointing me right now with that bullshit ass vote. You shouldn't have voted my goddamn boy off, bro. You could have voted Pepe ass off. No one gave a fuck about Pepe. Jeremiah was my nigga. Fuck Love Island, man. Yeah, for real.
Okay.
For real.
Oh, man.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
All right,
Ace is a real bitch.
Where do we go from now to get some more balls in this fucking pod?
I don't know about getting more balls, but I'm talking about getting more money in our account. Joe Budden recently accidentally posted how much he actually gets from Patreon. Joe Budden last month got 902,095K, or 902.95K.
Yeah. No, I actually saw this today when I was scrolling on Twitter or X, whatever it's called.
30.2 million total visits.
Yeah, and I mean, but if you break that down, only because if the average is 20 a month, that's about what 45,000 of that 30 million, or is that views or people, patrons?
So he has 154.8 thousand members, active members.
Damn. Okay, so that means about 45,000 people are paying $20 a month on average. So that's what 45,000 divided by 154. So that's about 30%. So 30% of the people that are, hold up, what?
I have no clue where you're going with
Hold up. So he has 54 people on Patreon.
154.8K active
that are paying.
Active members, yes.
So that means the average price is what?
Should be $20. Wait.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I got that $20.
So there's different tiers.
Yeah, so the academics, I saw, what's his name? Academics say that the average was 20. So I don't know.
I mean,
do the math on that. 154 divided by.
Hold on, I'm looking up his Patreon prices because I think he has a $5.
Oh yeah, so maybe a lot of people are doing $5.
Choose your membership. Let's see. Yes, so he has the homies plan, which is $5. Family, which is 10. Friend of the show, 25. Part of the show, 50.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, no matter what, no matter what the breakdown is, $900,000 a month.
Even if you get a bunch of fucking.
So what's your point in terms of the cast members or like? So
I'm gonna be honest with you. Flip is the #1 pocket watcher that there is.
Yeah, he be having me weak.
I don't know if it's on the planet, but it's damn sure on that podcast. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Ice does it low key.
I mean, okay, so if you want to rank, if we want to do who's the most valuable cast member in order,
Mark Lamont Hill. Wait.
Nah, bro.
Parks is the no.
Hold Hold up, Parks.
Parks is the most valuable.
How is he the most valuable? How realistically?
He doesn't just talk.
Okay.
All the audio engineering and everything like
how
that.
hard is that? We fucking do this.
Demons,
and look,
once we start getting around $903,000 a month off of just me having this little shit right here, this little $800 thing from Best Buy.
My point is, from a personality standpoint, right? I understand.
Okay,
I
that's
understand
what
you're saying.
aspect you're talking about.
Right.
If we're talking about overall importance, then yes, I would say Parks, because Parks does more than
Right,
just.
but you're not letting me finish though.
Because you about to say some bullshit.
No, because he's not. This editing and shit, anybody can do that. What I mean by that, right, is if you're gonna say, well, if you're gonna pay Parks $50,000 a month, right?
What about Pod Wives?
Nobody watches that shit.
I've watched Pod Wives.
I
lot of people watch
have
Pod
too,
Wives.
but it's not like
So don't
that.
say no one watches it when you and I have both watched it.
My point is, from an entertainment standpoint,
Okay.
like that's where somebody's value would be on the pod.
Oh, if that's what we're going by, fine. That's a different
That's
metric.
but right. But I'm saying, even if you want to add his value in terms of editing or producing the pod, I don't think that even gets him to top 3 on the pod. I think that in no particular order, it's Ish, Mark, and Flip. Easy. Hell, I'll take Imani over Parks. Shit.
I would say Mark. Mark's number 1.
Mark, okay, but Mark in terms of what? Overall professionalism, just being able to, because
the episodes with him, the episodes with Mark in them, like now quite recently, I think it's like now that we've been experienced to what it's like to have Mark on a show, it's completely different than what it's like to have them originally.
Right.
You know,
no, he did. No, I do fuck with him.
So
but
now
I think
the quality.
I think Flip, and I think is Mark, Ish, and Flip.
There's 2 things.
Those are my top 3. Everybody else can go.
Hold on. There's 2 things when it comes to Flip that needs to happen before he gets up there for me.
Okay.
He has to stop. Once Flip stops, pocket watching is hard. At least on cam, like sometimes here and there it's funny.
But that's part of his shtick, though.
Again, here and there is funny. As often, it's a little like it's a little much.
Do you watch? You don't watch Queen's Flip like outside of him, outside of the pod. But that's like his thing. Like he's like combative. He presses people. He's like, that's like what he does. You know what I mean?
You can do all that without trying to pocket watch, like being in people's pockets. That's number 1. Number 2, he got to get Melissa Ford's dick out his mouth.
Who?
Flip.
Oh, I mean, yes.
He be dick eating her. Like, and I think it's because they've had an issue in the past. She called that motherfucker, yo, fix that shit.
What was the issue?
I don't know. She gets.
I'm be honest with you, bro. Like, if I could have the dream lineup on that show, it would be Joe, Ish.
Okay.
Joe and Ish is like 1-2, even without Mark, just because of their past and their history. Like their chemistry is just unmatched. So you have them 2. Then I'd keep Flip. I can do without Ice. I don't really care about Ice. Melissa Ford, I don't really care. But like if there was a world where they brought Maul back, so you got Joe, Ish, Maul, right? Imani, Parks, and Flip, and Mark. Did I say Mark already? But like that little group.
So pretty much Fire Mel, Fire, Ice, add Maul.
I guess that would have been the easier way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. But that's just my opinion at least.
Maul would never, ever in a million years ever go back to Joe Budden.
But do you think that
he's too prideful?
Do you think that this is gonna cause like a little bit of friction like the
Oh,
last time?
for sure.
And 2,
For sure.
how much do you think they make? Like, if you could guess, right? We don't really have the numbers, but how much do you think Ish makes? And I know Ish. You know why I fuck with Ish is because like he don't really give a fuck because he got his own shit outside of that. So
Yeah.
he don't be like on some shit like, dick eating and shit. Or kissing ass.
Yeah.
And nobody up there really kisses ass anyways.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like Flip
got his own shit up,
yeah, but Flip is going to say something on the next episode. I guarantee it.
Well, because Flip, I think between Flip and Ish, they actually got their own shit outside of their, what do you call it, that they could actually be.
Melissa Ford has Hot and Bothered, and she just won the Gracie Award.
Oh,
so she's doing pretty well.
Yeah,
let's not, we still talking about Melissa motherfucking Ford.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
One of the finest women walking this planet.
But how much do you think they be making every month on the pod?
I feel like it's relative. I feel like it depends. Not all of them make the same thing.
Well, of course. Okay, how much do you think Flip makes? Like 10,000 a month?
Nah,
less than that.
No,
more than that. 20.
Yeah, I want to say 20. Probably like, probably say
40.
Hell no, 15. I'd say 15 for Flip. 15 for Flip. Nah, Ish probably about 20.
Ish gets paid more than
Flip? Yeah.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that Ish don't run in and out as much as Flip does. And
yeah, but Flip actually has a whole audience that he brought to the JBP. So that in itself is worth more than Ish. I mean, I'm not trying to,
I don't know about all that.
I'm not trying to talk shit on Ish, but like nobody knew who Ish was. Ish was just like,
yeah, but now
if you listen to Joe Budden podcast from the jump, then you know who Ish was because they would talk about him or they would call him on the pod. But outside of that, like Ish didn't really have anything. Shit, Melissa Ford at least has some sort of like name to her.
Yeah,
when she brought, But Flip is like outside of Joe Budden, like he's actually got shit going on. He had like an audience to actually bring, of something of value to bring at least,
So I would Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mark too. He was on CNN and shit like that. So yeah,
I say Mark maybe about 25. Ice and Ish, I'd say about 15, 20.
So you're saying all in all, amongst the whole cast, $100,000 he probably pays every month for the cast?
Hold on, what? I say about. Are we including Imani?
Yeah, I guess.
I'd probably say 150.
150 for everybody.
If we're not including like Poe and Ian and all that.
Well, Ian doesn't get paid. Like I'm saying, like
Ian gets paid
every month. You think he gets paid?
Yeah.
See, then that's the question is like, okay, because everybody's, in the comments were like, oh, well, that's unfair. Like, they should be getting paid more. It's like, okay, say you're making $900,000 and you got to pay 20 people. It was not 20, but like 10 people almost.
Yeah.
So what you're not gonna give up. You're not gonna give up half of it.
Ice, Ish, Flip. But you gotta. Here's another thing too, right? Not every month is gonna be 900,000, right? So let's say for example,
say okay, look, it's on average it's 900,000.
That's not the average though.
What do you mean it's not that? No, I'm just saying for the sake of the conversation.
Oh, for the sake of the conversation. So we don't gotta go
into all that, but like not say 900,000, right? Just for instance.
Okay.
Then how much would you be willing to give up to pay for the cast? Because you also got to think you got to pay the editors. You got to pay.
That's what I'm saying. We save on Alex.
So how much? 400,000.
It depends.
On what? 400,000? 500,000? Because then it's like, damn, bro, I'm not about to give up half my shit. Because like Joe Budden, he did this the first time around. He got rid of them because they wanted equity. They wanted all this and that.
What I'm saying.
Everybody thought the show was going to be done, and now it's bigger than ever. So if now people want to come and try to fucking, want more and more, he could probably just get rid of them and then bring some new people in.
These are variable costs, though, right? So he has to have a fixed set point on it because, again, not every single month he's going to be getting that 900.
But it's always going to be in a range, though,
but not
right? It's not going to
necessarily.
fluctuate.
It could drop
600,000 to what, but it's probably in some. If anything, it's probably growing.
So sure, but again, if we think about it though, on the flip side of that, let's say for example, something happens, and they have a real bad month. He has contracts with each one of them. So whether or not he's,
but that lends to my point even further that you're not going to give almost half of your income to a cast that's basically replaceable. That's lending to my point.
I don't know. I mean, it depends. I would say, but Patreon also isn't his only income though, right? Because he still has YouTube and he has that.
But my point, okay, I understand all of that. But what would you do? How much would you would you give up half of your income to a cast that's basically replaceable? Because people love to stand the moral high ground and shit like that until it really comes down to it's like, yo, you're making $1 million a week.
It depends.
$1 million a month, right?
It depends on how much I'm getting. Because
okay, $1 million. You keep saying depends. Just give me an answer.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on how much I'm getting.
So let's call it $1 million. You're making $1 million
a month.
A month. How much are you willing, based on what you just said? Oh, it fluctuates. Everything else. Say, but if it does fluctuate, but on average it's $1 million. You would do half.
I do half. Because it comes.
Why would you do half?
Because it comes to a point where it's like, bro,
but it's your podcast.
Sure, but again, it comes.
If we got to that point, right, and we started hiring people, right, and we're making $1 million a month, and we're busting that $1 million down 50-50, we're both making 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna look at you and be like, why are we splitting half of the total? So that means if we're paying 500,000 to other people, then we're busting down 500,000. That's 250,000. When we could just pocket way more than that, I'd be like, bro, what are we doing?
But I still want to be fair though. Like I want to be fair and treat the people like good and treat them right, because at the end of the day, yeah, sure, they can be replaceable, but I don't want them to feel replaceable. I want them to feel irreplaceable to where every single day they show up and they give their best effort to where we can continue to keep driving to make more.
But see, I guess then the question is like value, right? Is like, and this lends to like what we were talking about earlier before we were recording. Is like, you're willing to pay somebody more than what they're worth just for the sake of doing it, instead of taking that extra capital and reinvesting and doing other things with it. You get what I'm saying? Like if you had a company,
it's a performance review. Yeah, you're going to get a performance review no matter what. Of course, I'm going to start you off here at a certain level. Again, like say for example, we end up hiring an editor, right?
Right.
And
but say you make $25 an hour right now, hypothetically, right? Right, whatever. But say you did, right?
No.
But your job's not going to pay you $80 an hour just to make you feel better. Like, oh, I want him to come to work and feel like he's fucking part of the team. They're not going to do that, right? They're paying you what you're worth ruthlessly. So you wouldn't do that? You would be a little bit more like, what do you mean that's not your perspective? That's the way the world is.
I'm saying how much you're worth. I feel like that's.
What do you mean?
That's a.
How much you're worth in terms of what you bring to the table in this operation.
I guess, sure.
That's what I'm saying. So so you'd be willing to pay somebody 3 or 4 times their worth, right? In terms of what value they bring to the table just to make them feel part of the team?
No, not saying that, but I would incentivize them. I would do incentive-based performances in order to continuously.
But how do you incentivize in a podcast setting? What do you mean incentivize? Be more funny? You're just talking.
I mean, again,
but see, that's another thing,
not
right?
Being
that's
more funny.
That's another thing
that's
where
it's ingenuity.
That's where another thing I agree with Joe the first time around, right? When with Maul and what's his name, Rory, right? Is like he was like, yo, I told y'all can do separate shows. Y'all can do X, Y, and Z. Y'all don't want to do that. Y'all just want to come in here and podcast 2 days a week, and y'all expect equity or split this shit in thirds just off the strength of us recording 2 days a week. You know You know what I mean? And in this iteration of the show, I still kind of feel like, yo, people forget that Ish and all they do is come in pod for a few hours a day, like 2 hours a day. And if they're getting paid $15,000 a month, that's like what, almost $200,000 a year. Like any average,
that's what I'm saying. I would get them enough to where like yo, like they're good.
Any average person would sign up for that. That's why I don't feel bad for them, because outside of that, they got their own. Ish got his own shit going on, right? So if I'm Joe, I'm like, bro, I'm giving y'all $200,000 to come here and fucking talk.
Okay,
all y'all gotta do is talk for 2 hours.
Hold on, but with that same thing being said, though, right? If I'm sitting here and I'm giving you $15,000 a month, if that was the initial thing, and then from there I was making what?
It don't matter. It don't matter.
No. That matters. That matters.
It doesn't.
If I'm making $500,000 when you start a month, and now I'm making $1 million now, I'm not gonna continuously just keep giving you. Like I'm like, yo, you help me double my money. Sure, I'll give you like a 20% raise.
But who's to say that they helped?
Who's to say they didn't though? Who's to say that?
Exactly. So both can be true, but that doesn't mean that all that excess income that you're bringing in automatically.
I'm not greedy though.
It's not.
You're coming off mad greedy.
No. It's not about.
I'm telling you, that's how you're coming. You're coming off mad greedy.
But that may not
be
greedy,
how you're.
bro.
That may not be how you're meaning it.
But
that's how you're coming off. You sounding mad greedy.
I think that. When
I'm willing to bless, because whoever I have up here,
right.
You know, like that I'm bond and all that shit. You know, I'm gonna try to be, you know, as cool and close with, you know, to where it's not just like,
but see,
hey, you're my employee.
Take it out of. So this is like this conversation. Let's leave the podcast setting, right?
Okay.
If you owned a business, a pizza shop, right, and you pay people $30 an hour, right, and now you know your pizza shop, you're making. The numbers could probably hurt my argument if I just pull arguments out of my head. So just say you're living comfortably paying people $30 an hour, right? But now you're making X amount more, maybe double now. You're going to pay your employees double, or you're going to reinvest that money so you can do a second, third, fourth pizza shop. Now, there's two ways to look at it. You could be a boss that you're comfortable with whatever lifestyle you're living, right? And it's cool to sit up here and say, oh, yeah, I would be a philanthropist. I would give all my money away until you're actually in that situation. You're like, well, actually, why would I give you – I'm already giving you $20,000 a month to come in here and talk. Why would I give you $40,000? Why would I give you $50,000? What about you?
See, and this goes to that American greed that we were discussing earlier, that you sound greedy as fuck. Now, with that being said, though, right, if I'm sitting here, we're talking about the pizza place or whatever the fuck, right? If I'm saying I start my business and all I got is a fucking pepperoni pizza, cheese pizza, veggie lovers, meat lovers, right?
Right.
And fucking Pedro comes in, or, you know, Halua or whatever, Kalua from Hawaii is like, yo, I think it'd be real dope if we brought in a fucking Hawaiian pizza, right?
Okay.
And the fucking Hawaiian pizza ends up doing numbers or whatever, right?
Okay.
And it's doing great. Or I have people that help like innovate and bring in more ideas to
great.
grow
You're
my
general
pizza
manager
shop.
of the store.
Again, I'm giving, and that comes with a pay raise.
But how much? It's going to be a reasonable amount. Just because you're
I'm not sitting here saying I'm doubling it. I said maybe like a 50% more. If they're making 30 or whatever, sure, I might give them 40, 45, you know. But again, I'm not sitting here saying, I'm about to give them $100 an hour. I'm going to give them more, because at the end of the day, when they came to my business, they helped me grow it and helped me bring it to a point to where now because you're sitting here talking about reinvesting, right? You also have to reinvest in your people, because if you don't reinvest in your people,
see, now, hold on,
those same people, hold on, those same
your numbers aren't adding up.
Your
numbers aren't adding up.
Those same people, if you don't reinvest into your people,
right?
Those same people leave,
right?
And the reason why your business ended up growing,
right,
may dwindle your business away. Now, again, I'm not sitting here saying that he needs to bust down this 900,000 evenly between them all.
Right.
But what I am saying is, though, you know, and hell, they could even know about 900,000. All I'm saying is, though, I reinvest in my people, and then I reinvest in different ways on how we can grow our business. I'm not sitting here saying, hey, yo, I signed into a non-exclusive. You can't do anything else. Absolutely sure. Go ahead and do other things. But also, I also want you to know you can come here, deliver your best content, and I still want to continue to incentivize you to show up here, come to my platform where millions of people watch. People give their money to where they come in here, and I want to keep paying you so you can keep delivering great content.
Right.
And hey, you're doing a great job at this.
Right.
Let me pay you a little bit more to keep incentivizing you to when you show up to work.
Right.
You're showing up on time. You're showing up ready to pod.
Well,
you're showing up ready to do more and be better.
2 points to that. One, your numbers ain't really numbering.
What do you mean?
Because you said that you wouldn't mind paying 50% more. So if somebody's getting paid $30 an hour, you wouldn't mind paying them $45 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Before, when you said that, when I asked you how much do you think the total amount in salary that he's paying every month, you said 150, right? And then after that, you say you'd be willing to pay $500,000 in salaries. So now you're basically tripling everybody's income or wage.
But again, I said all that stuff is relative. Though.
So then my next question would be, at what point does, and he brought this up the first go around with Maul and Rory, about entitlement. At one point does it turn into their pocket watching Joe and saying, yo, we're entitled to X, Y, and Z, when it's really his show, right? He put all this shit together. He's investing in the capital. He picked y'all, right? And he's really orchestrating all this shit. You know what I mean? Like the first go around when he had Rory and Maul.
Who's to say if he never had Rory and Maul though that it would have been where it is today?
What do you mean?
Who's to say if he never would have had Rory and Maul that it wouldn't be where it is today?
I think that
because there's also
other you know why? I will say that. I'll say this because if you hold that scenario, when they left, it would have fell apart. You get what I'm saying?
It still got built off of.
And if that's the case,
there were so many funny moments though that happened between them that even are still trending to this day.
That's fine.
So where you can sit there still scrolling Twitter, and you can still see an old moment between them.
Yeah.
To where it wasn't just Joe Budden saying something funny.
And Rory and Maul's podcast would have hundreds of thousands of views.
It does.
Hey, I mean,
it does.
Then it is what it is.
They still have over 200,000 subscribers on YouTube.
But answer this question though. Like I said, when does it get to a point where now, if your boss, if you find out how much your boss is making, right, and you're like, oh shit, he's getting paid way more. When does it turn into, like you're talking about, Flip pocket watching and hating and becoming entitled to what he's earning? You get what I'm saying? Because that's what Joe said to Maul and Rory when he was talking about entitlement. Why do y'all feel entitled to what I'm making? Because
again, that's a different situation, because the agreement between them when they started was, hey, we're friends, we're splitting this all between us. And then once it got to that level, he was like, nah, y'all, fuck that. I'm doing how I want to do.
But who said that?
Rory and Maul both. But again, the same thing can be said that Joe Budden says that he didn't say that.
Exactly.
So they
could have easily said that. And you got to have documents or papers set in stone for that.
But that's different though, because
just like if we started making money on this podcast,
me and you don't, as of right now, me and you have made a operational agreement, but that was for something else.
Yeah.
But we haven't made an operation agreement about this.
But if we started making money off this, we gonna have to iron that shit out, because it ain't gonna be on some, oh, now we're making $30,000 a month, and then who knows? Listen,
all the counts in my name. Listen, I end up stiffing you
because people start moving money when what's it called?
Start giving you $10,000.
What?
I'm pocketing 20.
Money makes a man act funny. You know, so nobody. You know, you could change, I could change. You know what I mean? I would hope not. You know what I mean? But if I'm staring at $50,000 or you're staring at $50,000, who knows? You know what I mean? I know I feel like I wouldn't. You know what I mean? I feel like you wouldn't. You know what I mean?
I don't know about you.
Nah, I looked at $50,000 and then waver. You know
I feel like you the same person sit there and go, bro, hear me out. What if we invest all of this in the ABAT right now.
I'm telling you.
bro. I'm trying to tell you,
We
bro,
go-
PFS is gonna drop next week.
We gonna bust this shit down 50-50. You know, it's gonna be so just so there's no
55,
miscommunication.
55, 45,
My phone's about to die.
55, 45.
What else you got? What you got?
Let's see.
Oh, I saw Jay-Z is doing the Super Bowl next year.
Is he really?
That's what they said. And they said that he's going to have an album coming out and everything else. Damn, bro.
I don't know if I'm listening to a new Jay-Z album.
Crazy as hell. His last one, 444, was...
Yeah, that. I like that.
That shit was crazy. And you know what I like about Jay-Z? What I like about a Jay-Z is he's mature in his music.
Damn, my phone.
You know, like his last album, like it's not like on some old, like, you know, you have some old rappers that talk about, you know, like, you know, the same tired shit.
It's
that are
luxurious.
typical.
It's luxurious lifestyle rap.
Yeah, but it's in the same
Like Pusha.
way. But you feel like you're grown with his music. You know, that's where like kind of like Drake is getting, and Drake's still relatively young, right? Like he's still in his 30s, he's like 38. But
Yeah.
I see a lot of people talk online about how, you know, it's getting tired. He's getting, you know, it's getting annoying or old that he's always talking about women and money. Drake, but I don't feel that way. I think that he might be getting there, but I mean, shit, Smokey Robinson them talk about love and shit.
Yeah.
But he be talking about like popping pills and shit like that. But like
He does it in a different tone though.
Yeah.
Like Drake, you've gotten, you know, you got Nothing Was the Same. You got For All the Dogs. You got what's that one that I like?
what's on it?
Text Go Green.
Text Go Green.
Text Go Green. It's the dance album that Drake did.
Oh, honestly, never mind. I didn't. I mean,
Honestly,
it's
never
cool.
mind.
Like I have like 4 songs on there. Everything else I was like.
So yeah, you got the Some Sexy Songs for You.
Uh-huh.
You got Her Loss. You know, you got hold on.
But I feel like he's gonna.
Honestly, Never Mind is. I like that.
He's gonna. I feel like he's gonna move like Jay-Z. How like. I think he's just gonna be timeless. Like he'll be 60 and still be able to get his.
He's
shit
still
off,
young.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
He's still relatively young. So like the shit that he's talking about, again, it's one of those that like you and I were discussing a bit ago when I think we talked about this probably like a year ago, like when For All the Dogs dropped or whatever, right? And it's one of those that was like, it's more than a year ago For All the Dogs dropped. Damn. But how being outside, being an adult, you know, experiencing the music, living with that music, as far as you were experiencing it, is different when you were a kid hearing, you know, like bartender, you know, like bro, you've never went to the bar and ordered a drink.
Yeah.
Exactly, you know, but being outside, you know, driving around Virginia Beach, listening to Virginia Beach, you know, like it's different, you know. How you gonna tell me how can I expect someone to know they damn place when they ain't never had their damn place? When you in your apartment, when you sitting there, bro, you got your own place.
Yeah.
It hit different.
Yeah.
When you sitting there talking to someone who ain't never had their own damn place.
Yeah.
How can I expect them to know they damn place?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, it hits different
that's why
when you
sometimes
experience
like
it.
talking about, you know, Drake and whatnot. I mean, sometimes I get mad that I wasn't this age when Take Care came out or Nothing Was the Same, because I was in high school. I was like 9th grade when 10th grade when Something Was or Nothing Was the Same came out.
Yeah, I
And
think
then,
I
like,
remember 9th grade
grade,
for me.
8th grade when Take Care came out. But like, imagine hearing Marvin's Room
Views
at 24. Oh, but like that's why For All the Dogs is like one of my favorite Drake albums, because it's really like
experience.
Yeah, like it's like that, just
Bro,
that time stamp.
Scorpion
was hard. I was in college when Scorpion came out. Nah, Scorpion hit too, because I was going in and out of classes and shit like that.
What's that one song?
No, Teenage Fever. Oh my god,
that's a banger. Hold on, I gotta find it. I gotta find that one song. I got so many damn playlists.
What is it?
Hold on. Finesse.
Oh yeah.
Bro, I've sung Finesse
Mm-hmm.
to a girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally sitting there. Bro, this is back in the day when I had the 98 Expedition.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting there driving around, I'm sitting there looking at Shawty. I want my baby to have your eyes. Ooh, I'm going against my own advice. Should I do New York? I can't decide. And she's sitting over there, bad as fuck. I was like, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Again, living with the music, bro.
Yeah.
It's you can't understand it, bro. You ain't been outside.
Yeah.
It is so sad that, but again, the same thing can be said though about like, about adults. Like I say adults, nigga, we're adults, but like niggas in their 40s and 50s sitting there talking about, woo, bro, being outside when gin and juice drop, y'all don't know what that did.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I think like I now understand it.
Yeah.
You know, like those 2-3 a.m. drives. You know, summer. You know, smooth temperature, nice
And
breeze.
shit, when you have teenage kids, when we have teenage kids,
Woo.
and that Drake come on, and they like, Dad, turn this shit off.
Hey. You don't know nothing about this right here. Hey, I'm trying to tell you what your daddy was doing back in 24.
If it wasn't for this song, you wouldn't have been born.
Boo,
You was conceived the night this shit came out.
Hey, yo, your daddy right here, back when this dropped back in 2020 during COVID, your daddy was outside when he shouldn't have been. Supposed to be quarantining, but I was quarantining with some lady.
Your mom's.
Your daddy was outside. Nigga, what? Oh my God.
But Jay-Z, man, I hope he's gonna come out with a new album. At least that's what the rumor is, and then Super Bowl and all that.
I don't know. I think it's like, I don't know. I think because growing up, that wasn't something that like I grew up with, right?
Oh, Jay-Z.
Yeah, like my mom, it was like Beyonce, Alicia Keys, you know, like my mom's white, you know, so like
What about your dad? What'd your dad listen to?
Bro, my dad was on some like Joe Tank, you know.
Oh yeah.
You know, like my dad was on like that fucking just like R&B.
So it wasn't hip hop and all that?
No.
Okay.
Like my dad wasn't like never into like if we was in a car and like the person on the radio was cussing too much,
right?
My dad would change the channel. If they sitting over there talking about, you know, man, I was just over there getting me some pussy last night. That bitch was bouncing on my dad's changing the station quick. You know, so like that wasn't nothing that was really played
right
in the car and shit like that. But you know, like you know, your Joes, your Tanks, your Genuines, Tyrese, you know, Maxwell, all of those things, you know, those were played in the car.
Right.
So yeah, it was just it was just different, you know. But I remember, I think I was at Darian's house and he was playing like some older like Jay-Z, I think like Blueprint, and I was sitting there like I'm looking at the TV because it was Apple TV, so you know it plays the lyrics at the same time. I'm like reading the lyrics. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, this nigga.
Yeah, to me that's like that's like the back of my hand because like my older brother growing up, that's all I heard was like that type of shit. So.
But your brother's also 45, so like your brother grew up.
Yeah,
your brother was outside when fucking when the Clips became the Clips.
Yeah, all that.
So your brother was out there at fucking Peabody's. Was at Peabody's when Pharrell pulled up that one night to fucking debut that one song.
No, that wasn't him. That was another story I told you.
Pharrell did pull up.
Oh, you talking about? You're saying my brother wasn't there though.
It's
like same era.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
Same era. Yeah.
Yeah, I was joking.
Okay.
It's called a hyperbole, nigga.
I ain't know if you conflated the two stories and thought my brother was actually.
No, I know your brother wasn't genuinely there. I was just saying. I feel like that would be something you could never shut up about.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. You know, he was outside during that time. So it's different. You know. So and again, when you sitting there riding in the car, you know, it's like. You hearing that growing up, it's like, oh shit, yeah, bro, this is kind of fucking fire.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I feel like, yeah, if if we do have like teenage kids or whatever, and depending on what we're playing around them, like that can like mold them into like when they get older, they just gonna start like, oh, this is a throwback, but this is a good throwback, type shit. Like me, like Joe, yo, if that shit Still Not a Player comes on, bro, I'm still Let's Get Married with Rev Run. Bro, I can say Let's Get Married bar for bar, word for word, just based upon that shit being played in the crib or in the car and stuff like that.
Right.
So we can make our kids fall in love with it, but it still forever be a throwback to them, as opposed to like us like living, experiencing, doing these things while in real time.
Right.
Juice WRLD for me too. I know that probably not so much for you, but Juice WRLD like will probably like forever be one of those ones for me to where it's like, like the emotions that I've like experienced, while listening to that music, it was I honestly, bro, I cried when he died. And even like to this day, it still does. Like it's a little bit hard, for me to like hear his music because it's saddening to me that, like I won't get like another like project from him,
right?
That he curated himself, like not his team, because the ones his team curated haven't really been like necessarily the best,
right?
But like hearing like like a Death Race for Love, All Girls Were the Same, like that is just different,
right?
But yeah, also I got another thing for you. I know you don't care about the 2025 freshman class of XXL, so I'll just go to the next one. James Harden is being sued for alleged negligence after a woman claimed his nephew R-word her during a New Year's Eve party at Harden's Texas home. The lawsuit alleges Harden and his security team failed to prevent the essay and seeks over $100K in damages. So
what your question is what?
I mean, it's not necessarily a question. It's just, news. With that being said, I was going to say, how do you feel?
James Harden?
James Harden is being sued because his nephew.
Because it happened in his house?
Yeah. And she didn't
How old was the kid?
I don't know. It didn't say that.
Because she probably wouldn't be lying if it was a kid. Because we had this conversation about...
Go ahead. Keep talking.
I don't know, man. It's weird. I think that if it happened in his house, I guess there's grounds for it to be some sort of lawsuit. I hope it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if it did, then yeah, man. I mean, I think she should get some sort of, I guess justice in terms of. I don't think money can ever, kind of compensate for an experience like that, such a traumatic experience if it went down like they say it went down. But, yeah, man, I hope justice is served or whatever they say, in whichever way it comes. I didn't hear about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm reading it now. It doesn't say anything, like from what I'm reading, I don't see anything about it happening, but pretty much this girl, she was out partying and two of her friends ended up hearing that there was a party at James Harden's studio and that they could pull up, and then the security escorted the two girls out. They were drinking or whatever, and the girl, her memory was extremely hazy and was shocked into consciousness while she was being assaulted, which she was in a dreamlike state and not fully awake. So, I mean...
You said she wasn't fully awake?
Yeah, she said she was like hazy or whatever, because I guess she was
drank
drinking.
Too much?
Probably. Or some could have been laced,
I don't know.
There's not necessarily enough details about this.
Right.
I absolutely do want and expect justice to be served. I don't necessarily know if the civil violation on James Harden's part is necessary or the best. I feel like if
you don't think he should be held liable?
If if they were sitting there, I see civil charges to me get real complex and difficult because of the aspect that we could pursue a criminal case. Like unless you're telling me if you, and this could be true, I'm ignorant to this, unless if you pursue a criminal case and then they're found not guilty, then you can't pursue a civil case. Then I understand why you do civil, then go criminal. But I feel like, if when things like this happen,
right,
we should pursue criminal charges.
right,
If James Harden was there while SA happened, then we should get him as a
I just
accomplice.
realized you've been saying SA. I understand what SA means now. I thought the girl's name was SA.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
While that happened.
Well, you know why, right? Because there's no money in the nephew.
But and that's what I'm essentially trying to
that's
allude
probably
to.
why I went that route.
But that's what I'm trying to necessarily allude to. I feel like it should be about seeking justice and getting to the necessary, like the criminal charges. Justice should be found, and it shouldn't be this shouldn't be a civil case. This should be a criminal case,
right?
And then James Harden, if he was there, being a accomplice,
right?
Then yes, let's pursue criminal charges in that matter,
right?
But like if we're just looking for like a money grab,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, hey, whatever. I can't sit there and say what's necessary for her to how she processes her trauma. So if this is what's needed to be done, or what she deems to be best for her moving forward, then hey, do what you need to do.
Right.
But me personally, when things like this happen, I feel like criminal cases should be the number one thing to happen. So yeah, that's just my opinion. But I'm also a man. I've never experienced what it's like to be a woman, so I don't want to speak from a woman's point of view.
Right.
Definitely in aspects like that, I think it's, again, she should do what she feels is best.
Right.
However she processes her trauma.
Right. Hell yeah. I guess one more thing, and then we can wrap this bad boy up.
All right.
It makes me laugh, because we're getting older and stuff, and seeing people that maybe weren't into politics or whatever. Now that we're getting older, everybody's into politics. Everybody's into like what's going on in the world.
It's like some cult shit, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but like
it's like a sports team. Like,
yeah,
you gotta be.
But even when I was younger, like I guess that came with like being into the markets and stuff like that. You're kind of involved or interested in politics and geopolitics and whatever is going on in the world or whatever. So I've been into all that.
It affects the trends, yeah.
Yeah. So seeing people that maybe weren't so much into politics and what's going on in the world and everything finally come into that realm, and now I'm on Instagram and I see a bunch of people posting on their stories about Iran and stuff like that. It's pretty, I guess, because it really does kind of impact our lives. Like if it goes left,
absolutely.
I guess my question would be,
you'd be drafted as enlisted.
What do you mean?
Keep going.
Damn, what was I saying?
Politics. People posting on Instagram.
Are
wrong.
Damn, what was I gonna say? Oh, what would if there was a draft, would you go to the draft?
Is that was the question?
Yep. If they draft, say knock on wood, whatever, World War III broke out and there was a draft, would you go?
As an officer?
As just, man, they just draft you wherever they need you. They need you. You don't get a choice in the matter.
As an officer?
Again, as whatever the fuck they want
Not
you to be.
Not a police officer.
I know what you're saying, but I'm saying, no, Chanel, here's a fucking gun. You're on the front line.
Nigga, eat a dick.
I'm saying
Fuck
I'm saying if they need you up there, you can't choose.
See, I feel like I get drafted as an officer, but in the case,
like, oh, we got enough officers here. Be a fucking in the tank or whatever, or in the plane.
I don't know, because there's two sides of that. One, it's like when I see some shit, like okay, it if we experience like a 9/11 or something like that
Right.
that happened,
Right.
for shit sure, yeah, bro.
Right.
This shit's up.
Right.
It's up and it's stuck. I don't give a fuck.
But
Everyone
not on
that I
some
see.
like Israel and
I don't
Iran
give-
and
nigga-
we get dragged in
Nigga,
and
fuck
then
them.
they bomb us because they wanted to fuck around and start some shit over there and then it escalated. You know what
That's
I
what
mean?
I'm saying. If we got bombed over here,
But
or
what
like,
if but
or if
but,
like U.S. like personnel like
but what if we got bombed as a result of some shit that we just got involved? It wasn't because like we just got bombed out of nowhere.
because Trump don't know how to close his fucking mouth and he's
Right, but
disrespecting world leaders,
okay, outside of that. But like
powerful people.
right. But outside of that, if it was a result of that, would you be quick to enlist and whatnot?
It again. This is very. Who's getting bombed?
I'm saying we
are
got
American
bombed.
citizens dying?
We got bombed as a result.
Where?
I don't know, a major city, but it's a result of what's been going on. So it was Israel and Iran, right?
Yes.
Then we got involved with the B-2s and shit like
Yes.
that. And then Iran bombed us.
Mm-hmm.
But they only bombed us because we started some shit first.
Yes.
Then would you enlist?
Yes.
But so we get bombed, period, you're going.
Yes. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a few things that you can do, but one thing that you're not gonna fucking do is dare touch a single hair on an American citizen. I don't give a fuck.
So
I will fucking shoot me one of them bastards. You think I'd be in the fucking tank on the fucking front lines, emptying the goddamn clip, flipping around with a switch. I'd go, bro, what?
do you know how to shoot a gun?
Yes.
So let me ask you
Several
this.
different guns.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that how do I want to ask this?
I don't know, because TikTok, we got a time.
I don't think a lot of people would be in a rush to go enlist.
No,
You know what I mean?
not at all. A lot of people sit there, it's not my fucking problem. I don't give a fuck.
But that I guess the issue would be, right, is we have that freedom to kind of think for ourselves and now I don't know in a real wartime situation.
You wouldn't
Right.
have a choice in a real world situation.
The last time they did a draft and shit, it wasn't like it is now. Right now, people have the internet. People share ideas. People have a certain perception of the government and the world
Mhm.
than they did back in the day in Korea. When was the last draft? I want to say the Korean War was they
I was
drafted in the
gonna say
Korean
World
War. But that was like in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Mhm.
you know, it's a whole different world. People are much more conspiratorial now.
Yeah.
They have a different outlook, like I said, of the government. So I don't think a lot of people would be in a rush to go
People
fight
used-
in a war. They just want to chill. But then on the other end, right?
People used to falsify paperwork so they could actually go
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
into and,
Yeah.
and defend America.
But I think back then we were a lot more, I guess, there was a lot more to be prideful of,
yeah.
I guess you could say. Maybe, you know, maybe not. Let me backtrack. Maybe not so much prideful, but it's like
Well, while you're doing that, I'm gonna say I'm only very, very like pro America, during the Olympics or whatever and shit like that. But I tell you one thing: if it's like me and you sitting here talking shit, I talk all my shit I want to about America.
right.
Let one of these fucking aliens come in this motherfucker. One of these illegal immigrants try to seriously start talking shit.
Yeah.
Like and it, like they're like or like outside like the country or whatever the fuck, like
Right.
in Britain or
Right.
fucking Germany or whatever. Bitch, what the fuck you just say? It's like your family, Like I can talk shit about my sister all fucking day.
Right.
I wish another motherfucker would. I'll fucking punch them in their goddamn mouth so damn hard their teeth will go down their damn throat.
Right.
I don't play that shit.
Right.
So you talk shit all you want to. If you live here, yeah,
But
cool.
what sort of dynamic do you think there would be in a conflict where you have one country like us, where we have these freedoms, we can think for ourselves,
Mhm.
and like I was saying before, I don't know what the repercussions were. I think they threw people in jail if
Yeah.
they
Draft
declined
daughters.
to go.
Yeah.
But what if there was such a significant portion of the population that refused to go,
Mhm.
that the jails are like Fuck it. Like it's just
They'll build more.
there's such a significant portion of the population that are refusing to go to war that it hindered their war plans. Like, oh, we weren't expecting X amount of people to just refuse to go, and now you have all these countries on the other side: Iran, China, North Korea. What am I missing? I'm missing another one. But these Russia, they live under a totalitarian
North Korea
government, right? Whether that's Russia, right, or China,
Taiwan,
China as well, right? North Korea, they think they just worship Kim Jong-un. Whatever he says is fucking gospel, and they go.
Oh yeah, Kim Jong-il had a perfect game. He had 11 holes in one.
Yeah, I did see that. That's funny.
Had, 17 witnesses.
Yeah.
So if you down him, you got 17 witnesses to prove him.
But it seems like on that side, and then Iran, they just have a hatred of, the
America.
West. Yeah. So you're fighting against these ideologies.
Just hate for Brazil, like nigga, they're in the Western Hemisphere too,
right?
Like hate the Bahamas. What the fuck America do to you?
But they have
Bitch-ass niggas.
we would be facing people that are just ready to go, just based off ideologies that they're just bought into. Whereas we're like, oh, whoa, we're not trying to fight, man. We know the luxuries of what we have over here. We don't necessarily want to fight.
I feel like this is a two-sided
we don't want to
coin.
risk our lives for this shit. Let's handle this shit with diplomacy.
I feel like it's a two-sided coin, right?
Because, and not only that, real quick, and I'll let you go.
Damn,
over there, the kids in school, they learn how to,
you told me.
Shoot weapons and fucking reload and fucking put a gun together and take it apart. We don't do that over here. So I
because the kids here will fucking pick up the guns and shoot everyone else in the fucking classroom.
I think that's
that's what the kids do here.
I'm be honest with you. I think that's a detriment. I think we should change that. I really do.
You think we should encourage kids to bring guns to school?
No. But I think there should be a class, a gun safety class for sure. I think it should be something.
Or what? So they can shoot all the. You think they should bring guns into the school?
Yeah. Well, not with bullets in there, but like, I mean, you look at China and shit like that. In Russia, you see videos of the kids dismantling a gun, putting it back together. They know every aspect of the gun.
And guess what?
You know what I mean?
When you see American kids in school with guns,
yeah,
it's a slaughter. They're killing them. They're these children are losing their lives, when other kids bring guns into school.
I'm talking about no. I'm talking about in a class setting where there's guns with no bullets, and you're just learning about guns and how to handle a gun, what to do with a gun. Oh, I'm not talking about guns with bullet. No.
See, here's the thing though. With you saying that, right? And I don't want to get into this discussion on camera because I know your viewpoints and I don't want those to be a representation of the SCS podcast. But what I am going to say is though, some people have different core beliefs and different core values, and some people aren't comfortable with having their children around guns. So, no.
So, but then I guess that would be the disparity between a country that if it comes down to wartime and if there has to be a draft or people that aren't enlisted have to go to war, right? That said population will be completely unprepared when going against a country that kids growing up have some countries you have to serve.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So going up a country like going
South
up against
Korea, I think.
Right, but going
that's
up against
the J-Hope and all of them had to do and BTS. You have no idea what BTS is.
Yeah, it's the boy band, Korean K-pop, whatever.
Yep.
But going up against a country where they require that type of stuff. You know what I mean? That's where that's a weird thing. Like, damn, bro. Like, if shit hit the fan, like, how many? Like me personally, I don't want to go. Do I want to go fucking shoot motherfuckers and get shot at? Not really. I'd rather fucking chill.
Yeah,
you know
that's why I signed to be an officer. I should be in the AC. Like, y'all go. Yo, go ahead.
Guess what? Everybody's gonna want to be an officer.
Not everyone has a bachelor's degree,
and that's
That's the requirement to be an
Right,
officer
right.
is to have a bachelor's degree and go to OCS.
but not in wartime. You know what I mean?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Listen, when you know how many people have a bachelor's degree? Is everybody gonna be an officer? Do
you have one?
That same 3 more credits.
Do you have one?
Okay. Point being
Exactly.
Point being is that
They're not gonna let you go back to ODU first semester.
right. But point being is not everybody can be a fucking millionaire. You know what I mean? In a wartime effort, they're not gonna just let everybody be an officer. No, we need motherfuckers.
Not
to get
everyone
in the
has a bachelor's degree.
Chanel,
You may hear saying you,
Chanel,
but
okay,
you're saying
but
this
you're
like
gonna argue.
No,
you're gonna argue
saying
this point
like it's a fucking like it's a high school diploma.
It basically is.
No,
and
the
then
fuck
you're
it's
gonna
not.
keep. You're
How
gonna
can you
keep
say it's a high
saying.
school diploma?
You're gonna keep
Not-
saying,
how
"Oh,
many
do I
people-
have a bachelor's degree?" Okay, cool.
You're saying that like every
Chanel,
single person has one. Not
Chanel,
everybody has one.
I understand that, but we can look up the popular or the percentage of the population with a bachelor's degree. There's a high percentage of people with bachelor's degree. Look it up right now.
Are you saying it's,
How many officers are you going to need in a
Are
wartime
you going to say it's
effort?
more than 50% of people?
Huh?
You saying it's more than 50%?
I would say it's a decent. It's a decent amount. It's more than It's more than enough. Then you would need officers in a wartime effort. You would need a lot more boots on the ground than officers.
Sure, I'm not disagreeing with that.
And
but what I am saying with that same thing being said
the
is
number of
there's
people with
also going
bachelor's
to
degrees
be
is going to be
less
greater than people
who
that
have the necessary qualifications
no,
to be
no,
one.
No. All I'm saying is,
all right, whatever.
There's going to be more people. They're going to need more people boots on the ground than officers, bro.
Yes, I know.
Not everybody can just be, oh, I'm in the AC. No, bro. Like, no. Like, that's in a World War III situation, that's not what the case is going to be. That's not what that is, bro. What? So, everybody that's got a college education, fucking almost everybody has a college education.
Okay.
Am I right or wrong? Am I missing something here?
Yes, but it's
what am
whatever.
I missing?
It
Tell
doesn't
me,
matter.
please. No, tell me.
No, it doesn't matter.
How? Tell me.
It doesn't matter.
Do you have some research or something?
It doesn't matter.
How? How many officers would they need?
As many people as is necessary.
Okay. So say there. Let's see. Let's look it up. How many people have bachelor's degrees?
Not everyone can be drafted, but continue. Let's look at the
approximately 57 million adults aged 18 and older in the U.S. held a bachelor's degree. That represents about 22% of the adult population. My point is,
hold on,
57 million people.
While you're
there
sitting
can't
here,
be 57
while you're
million
sitting here
officers.
being loud and fucking wrong,
How am I being wrong?
Keep being loud and fucking wrong.
How am I being loud and wrong?
Keep being loud and wrong.
I just looked it up.
So sure, keep looking it up. But while you fucking said that,
okay,
look and see the qualifications of what it is in order to be fucking drafted. Not every person that's 18 and older gets fucking drafted. You think your fucking 60-year-old mother is going to get drafted?
So what are you
No,
saying? So what are you
not
saying?
everybody gets drafted. So it's a fucking smaller pool of people who get fucking drafted.
Okay.
So
Okay.
based upon
Okay.
that, there's a smaller percentage of people. And within that percentage, there's a smaller amount of people who have the necessary qualifications in order to be at that officer level.
Now,
That's what I'm trying to tell to you.
Can I ask you something?
God damn.
Can I ask you something?
Niggas just be loud and fucking wrong.
Chanel.
What?
Chanel. So you're getting all upset.
I'm not getting upset. Niggas just be loud and wrong.
Chanel. They just said 57 million people, right? Above the age of 18. Hold up.
Okay.
Before you cut me off. Above the age of 15 have a bachelor's degree.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Not everybody gets drafted, right? Cool. So say the cutoff is what? 45.
Nigga don't
okay.
even know.
Hold
It's
up.
not
Okay,
45.
let's say that, right? Let's say 10% of those, which is being generous, 10% of that 57 million fall between the ages of 18 and 45. So you're saying you're going to need 5.7 million officers? No, Chanel. You're not going to need 5.7 million officers. So no, like the odds of you just having like an office job in World War III is like, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, like maybe, right? I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but they're going to need a lot more people on the ground fucking fighting shit than in the AC fucking being an officer. That's going to be reserved for probably like actual military personnel and shit like that. Like everybody else is going to be on some like, yo, here's a gun. Here's how to drive a tank. Here's how to throw a grenade, that type of shit. You know what I mean? So, exactly. What are you looking up right now to further prove my point?
Okay.
Thank you.
So there's approximately 863,985 males that have a bachelor's degree between the ages of 18 and 25. So you have to be between 18 and 26 in order to get drafted and be a man in order to get drafted to be in the military.
Okay.
So, like I said, there is not a large population. There are a bunch of fucking guys out here that are 18
Okay.
to 26 years old.
Okay. So let me ask you something. So even that 5 million that I said before was being extremely generous. Even at 800,000, you're not going to have 800,000 officers. You're assuming that every single person that has a bachelor's degree between those that age in that age group is going to be an officer or whatever. No.
Okay.
Even if 10% of those people become an officer, is there going to be a need for 80,000 officers? I think that number is probably too high in a wartime effort. When right now, if you look at the total what's the number
It doesn't matter.
of military personnel
It doesn't
enlisted?
matter.
It does matter.
It doesn't.
Because I just proved you wrong, but you want to
You
get
didn't
loud.
prove me wrong, but
How?
here's the thing. For someone who's never... Do you have any families in the military?
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a military base?
Yeah.
How many... Okay. This nigga just be loud and wrong, and I don't even want to keep going with him at this. It's fine. It doesn't even matter.
How did I? But how the whole argument, right? Was
You can't get drafted anyways.
I'm just gonna be a officer. And
Yes.
then you said, and then you're like, because I have a bachelor's degree. Then you're like, oh, you don't have a bachelor's degree. You're not gonna get drafted.
You're too old to get drafted anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No, but the whole thing.
You're old.
I just brought the numbers in of people with bachelor's degree versus how many people would actually need to be offered. How many officers would need to be needed, or would be needed rather, for a World War III? How many officers would there have to be?
You give me a fucking headache.
We wouldn't need 100,000 officers, Janelle. You would need boots on the ground.
Yep. You're right.
I think I am.
You're not, but it's whatever. I don't care.
So how many officers would you need?
I don't care enough to continue to keep arguing this. I really don't.
What? So what?
I don't care
I'm
enough
trying
to
to
argue with
understand
this.
your.
I know, but it's not gonna happen because you're in Demus's brain, and if it doesn't make sense to Demus, it doesn't matter. So I don't care to keep having this.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
Do you have anything else?
No, I don't.
Are you mad?
No, I'm not, but I don't want to keep having this discussion.
You
with you.
tired?
Slightly, but I don't want to keep having this discussion with you. It's more.
Hold on. What were we talking about? What led to this conversation?
It doesn't matter. You can't get
No,
drafted
we were
anyways.
talking about well, let's wrap it up because I was saying about I don't think Americans would be. Damn, what are we talking about?
But you didn't even let me get my point off upon that either.
Well, dude, go ahead.
I feel like that says something more about the society though that we live in.
Exactly. Keep going.
Because people see that America sucks, and a lot of people see that America doesn't have their best interests at heart. So why
Was there to be patriotic about?
Why would I want to protect and defend
True.
America when America doesn't protect and defend me?
True.
So
True.
when you have candidates, you have people who are struggling to make ends meet,
Right.
And we live in this capitalist society. It's where people only necessarily care about the rich, and they don't care about the everyday man.
Right.
So why would I want to go out and to protect and defend America when America doesn't give a fuck about me?
Yeah.
They're just gonna care about in a simple sense my body, just so I can stand in front of someone while I shoot a fucking gun and possibly just die while the moment I land wherever the fuck this damn war is. I had no say in this damn war.
Yeah.
I don't got a problem with the motherfuckers over there.
Yeah.
Why am I gonna go out here and fight for y'all?
Yeah.
And on top of that, when I do get back, you're cutting Veterans Affairs, You're cutting, the little resources that veterans do have now. You're trying to take away disability, for our veterans that already went out, that have PTSD, that are struggling to do everything they're doing right now. There used to be it'd be easy for them to get federal jobs. They're on hiring freezes for that. There's so many ways that America says, fuck you. Of course, people are going to say, fuck you back to them. So, yeah, you know what? Now that I'm more and more into perspective, yeah, no, bro. America don't do shit for me, bro. They make my life harder. I have to walk these fucking streets. I get fucking pulled over. I'm getting a fucking ticket, even though I fucking paid my fucking taxes to help build the goddamn road.
God, don't speed.
Huh?
Don't speed.
Doesn't fucking matter. Even if I have a fucking bus.
So just because you pay taxes, you should endanger people?
First of all,
put people in danger. You should.
The way you drive, I know you're not talking.
Have you ever been in an accident in the Jetta?
I've been in a couple, almost.
Have you been injured in the Jetta?
Yes.
How?
When you fucking ran over that damn curb and I hit my head on the fucking side and damn near hurt my neck for a week and a half. Yeah.
Lying on the camera.
Non-driving ass nigga, bro.
Lying for the camera.
Bro. These people don't see the real behind the scenes driving with you. You the first motherfucker to do some bullshit and then go, you're always safe in the Jetta. No, always, I'm not. Bro. I'm not. And you do some bullshit. That's why you say you always safe in the Jetta.
What bullshit?
You do a lot of bullshit. Motherfucker be about running red lights, be texting and driving. Hey, yo, bro, grab the steering wheel real quick. Bro, I'm sitting we're in a neighborhood, bro. There's a stop sign.
That's the trust I have in you.
I'm not on the pedals. If someone comes,
I got the pedals. Don't worry about that. Just grab the wheel.
If someone cuts in front of us, I can't slam on the brakes.
But I can.
You're texting. You're not paying attention.
I'm looking up while I'm texting.
It should be ridiculous. I don't feel safe in the Jetta, not at all.
You got anything else?
Let me see. I think the only thing I have is the 2025 freshman class, but you're not gonna know any of these people up here, so it doesn't matter.
Do you know some of them?
Like 3.
That shit been ass since like I don't even know, bro.
I mean, Jello.
That shit hasn't been hot since I want to say like Wale and them was. I think Wale was up there, but that year J. Cole and all them were up there.
2016,
and Big Sean and all them.
I'd say Uzi.
Was that with Uzi and
21 Savage, Designer, X was on that one. I think that was like the last like major one that was like really, really fucking good. There have been a couple other ones, but even then, like majority of these people don't be like freshmen. They just be like new to like the stage. Anything else?
No.
All right, that's it. All right. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. This has been episode 19 of Shootin' The Shit podcast. Woo, 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 woo.
Yo.
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Please don't forget, as always, like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. And again, don't forget to share on your story, your mom's story. Share with your mom, share with your dad, share with your cat, share with your dog, share with your water bottle, your side nigga, your main nigga, your side chick, your main chick. I don't give a fuck who you share with, but share with someone. And on that note, we out. Bang, boom, bye. See you, nigga.